Hey, good morning, everybody. Meteorologist Craig Majeski coming to you here on the Weather Nerds YouTube channel with a severe weather update here on your May 1st. Welcome to a new month. Yeah, we had another rough day yesterday, but not as bad as the previous day, and we're still going to be dealing with pockets of severe weather today, kind of covering a pretty wide area of the country. We're going to break it down. Now, if you recall from the previous day on the 29th, we had some 600 reports. So yesterday, a little bit better, had 136. So we still had about 4 tornadoes around, 3 in Texas and 1 up into Illinois. So we'll watch it again for today, where we're going to see that activity kind of get going here for later this afternoon. So we're going to kind of go through everything and kind of break everything down for you. So let's go ahead and first take a look at where we're expecting the breakdown in activity out there for today. So let's go ahead and talk about that as we're looking at a couple of pockets that we're going to be kind of highlighting here on. As you can see, that slight risk for severe weather here, stretching from up here into New York State, stretching back into northern Tennessee. There's one area there. And then we have another pocket down here to the south, which is basically through Mississippi, stretching back into Texas and into northern Louisiana. So those are our two kind of hot zones here for today for the severe weather. Let's go ahead and break this down categorically. Obviously, you want to know how this is going to play out here for this afternoon. For later this afternoon. So let's go ahead and take a look at that as we go ahead and look at that. And we'll go over to the tornado outbreak here. As you can see, just a very low risk. So we're talking 2% area. So we're talking about areas near Cleveland, Pittsburgh, heading down toward Maysville, Lexington, Kentucky, and going into northern Tennessee. So this zone in here, it will be our target zone for isolated tornadoes. Again, nothing too big to be concerned about. Now, what we will have to worry about is damaging winds as well as ice, some hail. That's been kind of a theme that we've seen a lot of here in recent days. So let's go ahead and go to the wind threat area, and we'll pull that again at both those two pockets. So in those zones here where we showed you that slight risk here, going from New York State down toward Tennessee, and obviously from Mississippi back in toward Texas and Oklahoma, these where you're going to see your gusty winds, probably 60 to 70 mile per hour ranges. That's what we're expecting there for today. So we'll see that as we get the daytime heating to destabilize the atmosphere. And we've got to look at the daytime heating is the best thing. That's the instability, kind of like taking a soda bottle and kind of shaking it up a little bit there and getting it going. All right, let's look at the hail threat, basically the same exact location. So one of those rarities there, it doesn't happen very often where the actual hail threat and the wind threat are identical. So that's what we're going to see there for later this afternoon with the severe weather breakdown in those zones. Now, this will continue into day 2. Let's look at quickly look at your day 2 and day 3 outlook here. Your day 2 outlook, looking at just basically a marginal risk, just one little pocket here. So things settling down here a little bit. There looks like Texas will be under the gun there with a slight risk there going into your Friday, and then going into your Saturday, just a marginal risk here along the East Coast. So we're going to get a chance to catch our collective breaths going into the weekend. And then it does look like it's a little more active next week long term, but we'll worry about that another time. For right now, we're just kind of talking about the severe weather here for today. We've got these clusters of storms that we're kind of still seeing over portions of Louisiana here for this morning. You kind of see that there. Been setting up a few severe thunderstorm warnings out there to begin the morning here. Those are the leftovers from basically yesterday. And there's a new warning that's just being issued right now. So we'll go on over to Radar Omega. We'll go ahead and check that out here for right now, see what's going out there currently. As again, we got a couple of warnings that just been issued. Got this one here, basically on Interstate 10 to the west of Lafayette, or Lafayette, not Lafayette, Lafayette's in Alabama, but they're spelled the same. Go figure. All right, so we got this pretty intense storms here going through, and these will settle down a little bit later today. But as we get that daytime heating again, we'll see things begin to get fired up here for later this afternoon. All right, so let's go ahead and talk about that right now. Now, the big story, obviously, with the storms we've had recently has been a tremendous amount of rain. You're still dealing with the aftermaths of these storms here across Oklahoma. Look at all the flood warnings that are still out there across Oklahoma. And things have really got to get a chance to settle down. But otherwise, we don't have any new watches out there just yet. But we'll get some more going into later this afternoon and going into tonight. Those yellow areas I highlighted here, those are where those severe thunderstorm watches will be most likely to happen here for later this afternoon. So let's go ahead and talk about that. I'm going to go ahead and show you the latest model data on that. Let me go ahead and get this up here for you as we're looking at the latest high-resolution model data here. So I'm going to go ahead and get this over here for you. So again, you kind of see where the storms are for this morning down here across Louisiana, kind of peeling on out. And you, of course, got some activity up here across portions of Wisconsin and back over to Michigan for this morning. So as we go through this afternoon, that's when things will begin to deteriorate here a little bit. It settles down here heading toward 2 o'clock, but then things start to fire up. So we'll be watching along this boundary here going in through Ohio. Remember, this is one zone we're watching for into the afternoon hours, okay? So stretching from Ohio back toward Kentucky and into Tennessee. And then we'll watch new activity start to flare up down here toward Texas and Louisiana as we get that prime time heating here into the afternoon. So the storms start to flare up there. Looks like we've got to be some individual supercells down here into South Texas. You can kind of see the nature of these with some supercells there. Cluster of storms here across Oklahoma and into portions of the Texas Panhandle. But this line basically is pressing off toward the east as that storm moves off. Storm system slowly begins to push off toward the east. So we'll see things begin to improve there. And then we got another cluster of storms where they don't need the rain. Check that out. Terrible. Seeing more rain here across the Red River going in toward tomorrow morning. So that's not a good thing. That area has been really inundated with a lot of heavy rains, and that'll continue to be a problem going into tomorrow morning. Looks like another cluster of storms will get fired up there going into Friday morning, and then these will kind of continue to move off toward the east here and move in across Mississippi and toward areas of Louisiana. And then this will push off toward the east and bring that marginal risk coming into the southeast going into tomorrow. So that's how it's breaking up. This will move off. We've got a pretty good cool down here coming in the east as this system begins to exit. We'll see things begin to improve. And then we're looking at another active severe weather probably going into next week. We're going to be watching out here in the foothills into this area. Could be a pretty substantial potential tornado outbreak going into next week. So the good news for today is the tornado risk is going to be relatively low. That's the good news. But we're still going to have those pockets of severe weather we're going to have to watch today. So again, I want to go ahead and rehash this one more time. I want to show this one more time here for this afternoon. Again, go back to the day one outlook as we're going to be looking at those two pockets of severe weather, slight risk, no enhanced right now. Now, it's not to say that the Storm Prediction Center may not make a change. They've been doing this pretty regularly here throughout this week, kind of adjusting depending on how the small little disturbances, which are very hard to track, especially in the springtime, and sometimes they can cause pulse up. So I'll watch closely to see if any of this area perhaps gets an enhanced upgrade here going in toward this afternoon. So we'll watch closely to see if that happens. Again, at least the good news is the tornado risk, at least the way it's looking right now, for the moment, remains on the low side here. Again, just kind of tracking across areas of Ohio, Pennsylvania, Kentucky, and into northern Tennessee. This is going to be our hot zone for today. All right, that's good. I appreciate everybody checking out our channel. If you'd like to have updates like this on a regular basis and like to tune in for us when we do these live events from time to time, please go ahead and subscribe to the channel. And if you have any weather-related questions, just like our new subscriber there, Twisted, just subscribe to our channel right there. Thank you very much for coming on board. Again, just go ahead and leave me a comment. If you got any questions in your area, weather-related, I'm more than happy to answer your question to give you guys some personalized service. All right, that's it for now. You guys take it easy. Have a great day. Be safe out there. And you're almost made it to the weekend. We're almost there. We'll talk to you guys later. Bye-bye.